contest of the evening. Set to make her way down to the cage, presenting Jenny Line.
So making her way to the cage, representing Team Savage, is Jenny Line. Now, 1 win, 2 losses on her amateur record, but more importantly, I always feel, Brian, is that win is her last bout. She's coming off that win, which is a great thing to come into your next bout from.
Well, saying that, I mean, Team Savage, they call it for a reason. There's a journey this lady has been on. 37 years old, has come down 2 weight categories, not 1, but 2, from 63 kilograms to 52 kilograms, which is a huge weight cut that she managed professionally. She said this is going to be interesting to see how her body feels like this. But you talk about that last loss. Since that, she went on and she had a grappling competition 2 weeks later. She won silver in that. Following that, she had a BJJ competition where she took gold last month. So yeah, she did lose her last MMA fight, but this is someone who stays active and is actually riding a little bit of a wave of confidence off the back of 2 very impressive victories.
And this is the great thing about the amateur division. We look at it, especially in MMA, as a real, we said it before, as a learning curve. For me, your amateur career is all about that. When you hit the professional ranks, that's when it starts to get heavy. But each and every time, and I love it, as you said, active fighters, it pays off, win or lose.
Absolutely, and with the opportunities of grappling competitions in between camps that are now rife all over the country, it's a wonderful thing to see the explosion of jiu-jitsu, wrestling, sambo all over the country, and in fact all over the world. There is opportunities for you to develop yourself as a martial artist in competition very regularly, and this is somebody who I should also point out, 37 years old, single mother of 2, has made the weight cut, manages a logistics company for a kitchen company. So a serious job and a serious dedicated fighter as well.
Superb. Finally, check down from Sam Mahmidi, our other referee, and into the cage.
And now, her opponent set to make her way down to the cage, presenting Antonia Kakai.
Antonia Kakai from Stockholm in Sweden, making her debut here tonight on Rise of Champions 7, and already we're still in the amateur ranks, yet we're getting international matchups. That's what I love about Rise of Champions, Brian.
Absolutely, and that's down to Mr. Brad Pickett as well. You'll see in the corner there, Siwan Kakai. I'm not sure whether that's husband, brother. I'm not going to put a relationship on it, but obviously there's something there. But Brad is a very good and a training partner of Siwan Kakai as well. So they've obviously looked at the amateur opportunities over in Sweden, and you just got to look at the credits in All Stars. You've got Gustafsson over there, Ilya Latifi, people like Jimmy Manoa who go over there for their training camps. It's a wonderful place that is not just creating animals in the professional league, but also on the amateur scene, really exploding over there in Sweden as well.
The following contest is brought to you by Ferrari Sports. Now, Rise of Champions set for 3 3-minute rounds of amateur action in the strawweight division. We introduce first the blue corner, standing 5 feet 5 inches tall and weighed in at 114.5 pounds. As an amateur, she is 1-1, representing Team Savage, presenting Jenny Line. And across the cage in the red corner, standing 5 feet tall and weighed in at 116.6 pounds. Her debut as an amateur, representing All Stars, presenting Antonia Kakai. When the action begins, your referee in charge, Mr. Daniel Mobahedi.
So they touch gloves. As you can see, Jenny, just the slightly taller of the 2, looks for the lead right hand and then straight for the double leg there. But a good sprawl by Antonia.
Antonia, the wife, just had that confirmed by Mr. Brad Pickett of Siwan Kakai, describes her style as boxer wrestler, and you saw the wrestling there with the sprawl. Very thick set for this division as well. There's 2 very different physical frames going on here, and we've also got to take into account that 2 weight class drop from Jenny Line. How is she feeling right now? And This is the first time she's ever done it, first time she's competed, first time adrenaline's run through her body at this weight class. So let's see how she reacts to that as well.
Well, she went for the single leg again that time, but Antonia keeping it upright. And as you and I have been lucky to commentate on a number of the Swedish athletes at amateur level. And what she describes herself as, that's a Swedish trait. That's really good standing and great wrestlers.
And look at the footwork, the movement, the range she's got. She's actually got, it should be Jenny that line has the range advantage now, but the movement is allowing Antonia to get the better of Jenny in these early exchanges on the feet.
And as I said, Brian and I commentated on a number of amateur Swedes, and they are so skillful. And as he said, upright, you look at them and think they're really good boxers, then suddenly they'll take you to ground and you don't know what's going on. I've been so impressed with the levels of amateur competition from the Swedish competitors.
Oh, without a doubt, and also just the Swedish Federation, the government over there investing so much. It's no surprise that back-to-back years Sweden has been #1 in the amateur rankings, producing huge talents and being represented very well in the IMAS, as we saw this year out in Bahrain. But I'm so impressed with the boxing of Antonia. Very calm, switched on, head movement. Oof, ate a punch there from Jenny Line though.
Well, that was nice because Jenny, excuse the pun, moved off that centre line to throw that right. She'd been going back and forwards with Antonia, making it very comfortable for her. Then suddenly she just moved and threw that right off the angle, and that was her first major success.
Well, part of the game with MMA and is that adapting within the fight, and you could see Jenny Line's game plan instantly was to take a single leg and try and work it to the ground. She tried that 2 or 3 times, that failed. Now she's been much more clinical with the boxing, and that's paying off.
Well, as you said, the height and reach advantage is there if she can utilise it. But she's having to take a number of shots from Antonia as well, who's more than happy at the moment. You look at her body language, she's happy with this upright at the moment. And I agree with her. I think she's winning the upright exchanges here, moving in and out nicely, getting her work done, and then the footwork takes her back out of range.
Oh, and that is the key, range. Where can you do damage and avoid damage? And Antonia Kakai, just look at the footwork. She's in, out, perfect there. Out, not just out in a straight line, out in an angle, and that's very high level boxing at this level of her career.
That's right, the amateur debut, you wouldn't think so. Very well schooled, as we mentioned before. And a familiar pattern. Once Jenny didn't succeed with the 2 takedowns. Then she decided she had to box with Antonia. And I felt she was better, but for me, that opening round, I would still go with the Swedish fighter.
Well, this is part of the game as well. I think certainly it looked, and we'll have a look at the replays here, that some of the more significant strikes were coming from Antonia, but this is where the corners come into play as well. You'll see here with a couple of the exchanges, again, changing levels, working the body.
That was the right that she landed sweetly coming off that centre line, but you wonder, because we know it'll be in her arsenal when Antonia decides that level change. That's what's exciting me about this, because she's been happy to stand and trade with Jenny. Jenny's tried the 2 takedowns. We saw an excellent sprawl for the first one. Didn't even need the sprawl for the second. But we also know that it will be in Antonia's arsenal, the ground game.
And when we're talking about amateur fights, and especially when you've got somebody who's making their debut, so Jenny Line will have had no tape on Antonia, very little, if anything, on Antonia. So this is where the corners come into play. They've got to settle their fighters. They have to figure out the game plan as it goes on. So for me now, it'll be about who makes the best adjustments. Can Jenny Line fix the holes in the game that was seemed to be shining through from Antonia Kakai in the first round? Or will Antonia do exactly what you said? Will she mix it up now and look for the takedown herself?
Now, for me, you mentioned the body shapes. This is what, for me, Jenny needs to be doing. But with that lead leg, I would be peppering the lead leg of Antonia, keeping it just one step further from that boxing range. Use those longer legs. There, that lead leg working the inside thigh of the lead leg of Antonia, especially when you've got such a mobile opponent.
Absolutely. If you can slow them down in any respect, then you can start negating that. But that was a much more committed drive. But again, the sprawl, the wrestling there from Antonia, very, very on point, very aware, very impressive.
Yes, very good sprawl again. And for me, it shows Antonia's game plan on this one. You mentioned getting back to your corner and talking, and her corner being her husband. They must be quite content and happy with the way it's going while it is upright at this boxing range.
Now, I'm not sure how happy you can be watching your wife get punched in the face, but actually a performance like this will be very encouraging for Siwan in the corner, because she's very relaxed. This is her amateur debut, and sometimes the nerves, you lose to them rather than the actual fight, and she's looked composed, calm, imposing her game plan, and she's making Jenny think more than she is. She's very comfortable in this range and with this fight at the minute.
That said, I also feel that Jenny has done better. Oh, she had to
straight
eat that
down the
big
pipe
right
there, but what a chin on Jenny Line.
But I think she's actually done better this second round than she did in the first. She is having more of a share of it. That's the second right in a row she's had to eat because of the foot switch from Antonia. But I felt Jenny's done better this second round.
Absolutely, and let's not take... I mean, this lady is here to fight. The weight cut is a battle in itself, to drop 2 weight classes, as well as balance all your... I mean, nothing but inspirational, this lady, in my eyes, and from the contact I've had with her. So, but now she's having to dig deep. She's having to show a lot of heart, and how much will that weight cut pay? She's the only one that can answer that right now.
That's right. She drove a very nice knee into the midsection of Antonia in that last exchange. And as I said, what she's doing well is, even if she's not winning the exchanges, she's competing in them.
Okay.
She is throwing the leather. Sometimes, you know what it's like, you see them get into a rhythm. And although Antonia's throwing just like that, Jenny is throwing, if not simultaneously, but that right hand, she has to adjust to that right hand. It's that little change in the footwork from Antonia that lands that right hand clean. But you can see Jenny throws almost simultaneously.
And that was a nice drive for the takedown there. But again, look at how Antonia is sprawling, and now she's powered that through. But Jenny Line will like this. She is a jiu-jitsu player. She will be happy off her back, and in fact, the only thing that's defeated her there is the clock coming in. She would have liked a bit of time to work, and you can instantly see how active her guard is in the closing seconds of this second round. Oh, look at that. And now
as you said, Brian, but now also it's emphasised why she is so keen with the takedown attempts. We've seen clearly now why. That second phase of the game plan, that alternate skill set, if you're losing in one arena, you can see why she wants to do that. I felt she did better in the boxing. I don't think she won it. She still took a lot of rights.
I'm so impressed with her chin, with her heart in there. But again, you've got a glimpse right at the end there. Just if that buzzer had not been there, she had that armbar locked up. Don't know if she would have finished it off, but if she'd had another 30 seconds to work from that position, you can see how active her guard are, and how her limbs are built for trapping arms of the smaller opponent.
And again, you saw the shift in the footwork that Antonia does so well. But this is what I was saying about Jenny. She was always throwing to make it competitive as well. And you could see, as you said, there's that knee I mentioned earlier. So she's always thinking, she's always working, making it difficult. And if she can get that takedown early, easier said than done, because I've been so impressed with the sprawl of Antonia. And I don't think Antonia will want to engage like this when she does sprawl next time.
Well, Antonia drove through that. That's what gave her the top position. But just look at the hips on Jenny there for that armbar attempt. But this could be an interesting thing. Now, as far as a takedown, even if Jenny closes down, if she can catch a limb, if she can pull guard from that position and have more time to work, I'd love to see that.
Well, I think, again, Antonia will learn from that, and as she did in the first round when she sprawls, with the intention of coming back upright again. She won't want to be in that position, but it will give Jenny heart, as you said, and I feel with 30 seconds or more with a successful sprawl, could turn this on its head, Brian.
Shall see, but again, we're having some Groundhog Day action here from Antonia, that right hand connecting.
That's the danger for Jenny, is the way that Antonia sets up that right hand and lands it consistently as well. Now, for me, Jenny, these long limbs, as you set at the weight, those legs should be working consistently. Not so much the boxing, just like she's doing there, just a bit more hip with that leg there. That is the kick.
Nice.
From round one.
Absolutely, and you see it so often, and even the pro fighters now are using that outside calf kick, that inside thigh kick, and it's not just if they are damaging shots. You can eat that leg away. Oh,
this is better timing, Brian. That was set up this time. That was the thing. When she started to use those legs as well as the boxing, that little transition. This time when she shoots, she gets to where she wants to be.
And this is time she's in top position as well. So already working the knees there. And look at her slicing across, looking to take the back. But oh, that's slightly unfortunate there for Jenny Line.
Escape through the back door, Antonia back upright as well. But as you said, but for me, a far more determined round from Jenny. All set up from these leg kicks that are peppering now.
Absolutely.
It's giving Antonia something else to think about, which helps with the setup for that takedown attempt.
Yeah, you called it. As soon as she added a few more of those leg kicks, it made that drive for that takedown a successful one. Just a little, oh, she's reaching there, but you can see the tiredness in that attempt. But just a little bit more patience on the ground, and maybe she wouldn't have slipped out of that position and let Antonia out the back door.
Well, the legs are coming in, and the right hand is landing. For me, the third round's been the best for Jenny, because obviously the takedown will score, as you said, a bit too impetuous, but she's also landing with her own jab. She's getting her range right in this round. Again, no setup for that takedown, and it's not going to happen with Antonia without the setup. We've seen that. But I think her range has been better, and the variety of her work has been more eye-catching here in the third.
And you just got to say it one more time, to drop 11 kilograms as far as divisions, from 63 to 52 from a last fight to this fight. That's an unbelievable physical feat in itself, and to be this fit and active in round number 3, huge credit to Jenny Line.
Well, she's almost shared the boxing honours here, Brian, and again, I said that she had the one successful takedown, the rest not, but with those knees as well. This will be interesting now. If you score in favour of her this round, this opens it all up for the final decision.
Absolutely, that's a stunning 3 rounds from both ladies there. Clinical boxing there from Antonia Kakai, using that wrestling very well in the sprawl. But then Jenny Line coming back strong in that third round. In my eyes, I'm giving her the third round.
I agree with you, Brian, and it was like we saw a learning curve across a bout, didn't we?
Yeah.
We saw the attempted shoots with no setup against a strong Antonia.
Yeah.
We saw Antonia's footwork. Second round, the boxing was shared a bit, but Antonia was still edging with shots like this. But then the third round, Jenny started to get those little leg kicks in just to make Antonia think a bit more. She found her range better and got the successful takedown. There's that drive you mentioned. That was beautiful.
But you called it, she set it up properly. That was the difference there. She was giving herself more of an opportunity to take Antonia down. Unfortunately, and she'll watch that back. She'll be slightly upset at the escape there from Antonia. That wasn't an escape that Antonia made herself. That was a mistake from Jenny, but to come back that strong in round number 3, what heart that was. Really impressed with that fight.
I've just got a feeling that, I mean, obviously the judges are sat in different positions to us. They might look for different things, but on my unofficial scorecard, I've got that 2 rounds to 1 to Antonia. That's just unofficial. We're here for commentary purposes.
Absolutely. And
entertainment, whatever you want to call it, Brian. But I was so
good
fascinated.
Looks, obviously,
obviously,
good looks.
I was fascinated by watching Jenny transition to become a better fighter as it went on.
Neither fight, I mean, that's a great amateur fight. That is somewhere where they'll both take away. A great debut from Antonia, where she had to get out some awkward positions. She had to travel to a different country to make her debut, cope with that, as well as a weight cut and all that comes with it. And Jenny as well, just adjusting within the fight, can take a lot of pride in that. But this one's decided by the judges. It'll be announced by our man in the middle, Mr. Buddy Johnson.
Ladies and gentlemen, this bout goes the distance, 3 rounds, and we go to your judge's decision. Michael Williams scores the bout 29-28 in favor of the red corner. Jackie Eppel 29-28 in favor of the blue corner. And our final judge, Anab Hussein, scores the bout 30-27, declaring your winner by split decision in the blue corner, Jenny Line.
And what a way to raise her hand there. She fought her way back into that fight. A very tough first round.
Show your love for Antonia Kakai.
And I told you my opinion was for entertainment only, Brian, and there's the proof of the pudding. I thought that maybe Antonia edged that, but Jenny, as we said, not only stuck with it, got better as the bout went on. That was undeniable. But to sum it up, as you said, an incredible amateur bout.